And we are
Nope.
live.
We're live now. This is Mr. Red Fox of BS Busters. You may know me, but this is not a BS Buster cast. No, no, no. This is the Sci-Fi Power Hour. We may or may not be joined by Jewel Rider Moonstar, but before we get further, I'll let the other person in this cast introduce themselves. Go ahead, sir.
Hello, this is Piggy Don, the currently veteran member of the Sci-Fi Power Hour-ish podcast, as well as the BS Busters podcast.
Yeah,
Currently,
you've been here a while.
currently I am playing Xenoblade Chronicles 2, which
Yeah,
I got yesterday.
yeah. I will definitely. It's one of those things where it's like I'm either gonna get it next week or the week after next. Um, But I'll probably get it when I start my Christmas vacation because then I'll have tons of time just to play it. But that's neither here nor there. We're not talking about video games. Sci-Fi Power Hour has been dedicated to science fiction, movies, stuff like that. So with that being said, there's one big thing that came out this week, sci-fi related. And it's that Marvel trailer for Avengers Infinity War. So my question for you, sir, is have you seen it?
Yeah, I've seen the trailer for Infinity War.
I have another question. Did you see that part where Tony Stark got knocked the fuck out?
I did see Spider-Man getting strangled by Thanos.
Yeah, but did you see Iron Man get knocked the fuck out?
I wasn't paying attention to Tony.
It was glorious. Like like Iron Man got hit, like it was some world star shit. Like he got knocked out, and I swear they probably got him snoring from that knockout. Pow! I'm taking a nap. So what are your overall thoughts about the trailer? I mean, we're not going to do frame by frame, but
I am actually hyped for it next summer to watch it, even though I know it's going to be part one of a two-part event.
well, it's going to be a two-part event, but it's not a two-part movie. Like Infinity War is going to tell its own story, and then the repercussions of that will lead into the next story. But it's not Infinity War Part 1 and Infinity War Part 2. Thank God, because that would have been just too much. You know what I mean?
And people are predicting that in the second part, it's going to be as anticlimactic as it was in the comics, because how the Avengers survived and defeated Thanos was due to Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah, but isn't that how in the comics a lot of things are solved? Like how the Fantastic Four beat Galactus was with the universal nullifier. It was, it was almost like Galactus is like, no, not my Illudium P-38 space nullifier. Yeah, I saw it. I thought it was awesome. I thought I thought the trailer for Marvel Infinity War was great. I thought it showed you just enough to get you interested, but it wasn't like, oh my God, giving you too much of the story. I know some people, I've heard complaints that are like, well, I don't like how Thanos looks. I like him with his helmet. I'm like, yeah, but without that helmet, he looks like a dude who got out of jail and found out you were sleeping with his woman while he was on the inside.
I've seen edits of Thanos' head being Hank Hill, Homer Simpson, pretty much any other fictional bald guy.
Yeah, he looks he looks he looks like Space Debo from Friday. As a matter of fact, there's a scene in that trailer where Tony Stark gets knocked the fuck out, and the whole time I'm like, all they need here is all they need in this trailer is to have Chris Tucker pop up and run over to Iron Man and say, "Hey man, you got knocked the fuck out." And some other dude with a cell phone, "World Star." Because literally, that's really they're calling this Infinity War. It should be called Avengers. No, it should be called Marvel's Avengers. Thanos fucks everybody up. The movie. And of course, as I recently cashed my Marvel check, so I think we should allow one dig at DC before we move on. So you want to go first, or shall
I? You go first.
All right then. So Warner Brothers, this is how you build up a villain. Because I don't know about the movie, because I mean the movie, we won't know the movie until next year, May 4th. But here's what I saw, what I saw in the trailer. Thanos is doing the voiceover. He never raises his voice. He's not really bombastic. He's just calmly telling you how he's gonna fuck you up. When I say you, I mean the Avengers and everybody else involved. We're gonna save the world. Really? Okay, all right. And I remember hearing a lot of DC fanboys saying, "Man, Thanos is just sitting there in that chair." From what we saw in this trailer, I think it would be infinitely preferable to have him sitting in that chair and staying in that chair. Because now that he's out of the chair and taking care of shit himself, it's a lot worse. So,
I mean, that was supposed to be the equivalent of Darkseid.
Yeah. Or to be more honest, Darkseid is a knockoff of Thanos. So you've got the original, even though they were both created by Jack Kirby. So it's like, I mean, like Jack Kirby ripping off himself is kind of, but that's neither here nor there. Yeah. So you got, I mean, this is how you build up a villain, DC. This is how you build up people's expectations. You drop little breadcrumbs to let people know there's something much bigger on the horizon, and you build them up. I mean, basically, Marvel had a better hype person to hype up Thanos than Lil Jon ever could be. Although that would be funny if they had like a space version of Lil Jon hyping up Thanos. He's the Mad Titan. What? Okay. Get crap. But yeah, they did what they needed to do. That trailer was off the charts. It was badass. It was everything. It was everything I wanted to see. And I think DC should just throw in the towel and let Marvel make their movie. But you can get your DC dig in, and then we'll move on to the next topic.
Well, as I was, I really wish that he's built up on Darkseid more properly in the DC movies, since he's supposed to be their version of Thanos.
Mm.
But they screw it up and made Steppenwolf like the main villain of the quote unquote first part of the Justice League.
Yeah.
So it wasn't made into its own, till just one part only.
Well, I think we're going to have to do a podcast about the dire state of the DC cinematic universe. But not, that'll be in the future. We might do that next week, because there's some shit coming out that people need to be aware of, I think. So yeah. But that's neither here nor there. So your final thoughts. I mean, it looks like next year Marvel's going to be, it looks like Marvel and the House of Mouse is going to be sticking their foot up everybody's ass next year. So what are your thoughts looking forward to the Marvel stuff coming out next year?
Well, I'm basically most looking forward to Infinity War, but I'm also looking forward to Black Panther.
Yeah, I'm looking at them equally. Like the way Black Panther looks like, Black Panther is gonna fill in a lot of the gaps to the pre-stuff going on before Infinity War. So it's gonna be, plus, I mean, come on, man. This movie is very targeted toward a specific audience. It's coming out in February, Black History Month, about the Black Panther, who's a black superhero, who's ultra intelligent and rich, and runs this really powerful nation in Africa. We can pretty much see who Disney is tailoring this movie for, and Marvel, and I don't feel bad about it. I don't mind giving them my money.
Yeah, kind of like with Coco, where it's instead Mexican themed
Yeah,
for a Mexican audience.
yeah.
Because I'm seeing some Caucasian audience having trouble understanding Mexican culture, like Dia de los Muertos and Mexican culture in general.
Yeah. I mean, you could say that, but you have to remember that technically speaking, Mexican culture is in traditional Mexican culture, not Mexican culture that was contaminated by the European, the Latino culture that came from people who are from Hispaniola,
Oh yeah,
Spain.
from the colonial
Like,
period.
yeah, real Mexican culture. Those people are Central American. Their culture is technically more American than what was brought over from the old world. So, people like act like you're American. Actually, you need to twist that around. Their culture is American. Your culture is foreign. So yeah, but as someone who took Spanish for many years and did the total immersive Spanish experience and all that fun jazz. Yeah, I loved Coco. That movie had me, and even though it does have a lot of Mexican influences, I think that a lot of like I think like 80% of what goes on in that film is universal. Like
Yeah,
the pressures of your family and
yeah.
secrets
So,
that people hide away and misunderstandings and communication and
so,
crazy relatives that are just off the chain.
so universal that China even allowed us to be aired in their country.
I think that was more of a money thing because they knew that it was going to make money. I mean,
Uh, because China has a very strict policy on supernatural elements, such
which
as
is weird because if you watch Japanese wuxia films, there's always like ghosts and demons and zombies and
it's only a Chinese thing. The Japanese are all right with supernatural elements.
no. I mean wuxia, like if you watch like Hong Kong, there's an entire subset of Hong Kong action flicks that came out in the 70s that all they are like tons of them before Bruce Lee and like Jackie Chan, those types of films came in. They were based on like Zanzia style storytelling, which had like demons and Taoist priests and like gods and immortals and the undead. Like, so it's weird that now they're like, no, we can't have that now. I'm like, really? Now you're gonna get off the chain about the shit?
Probably has
But
something
that's
to do with neither here or there.
yeah, but yeah, I think Marvel's gonna have a good year. If you were into to Marvel Cinematic Universe, next year is gonna be a good year because you've got Black Panther in February, and then
Infinity War in
2 months
summer.
later, Infinity War. No, Infinity War is May 4th. So that's 2 months because you get February and then March, April, and May. Okay, 3 months. So basically, the start of summer, they're dropping Infinity War, which, I mean, let's keep it real. Infinity War is going to curb stomp everything that summer. It's going to be ridiculous.
No competition.
Yeah. It's going to be no competition. So yeah, and no, I'm not going to do any more digs against DC. We probably will do a Sci-Fi Power Hour next week where we'll talk about some of the stuff that's coming out in DC, about why DC is the way it is right now. Warner Brothers has had the issues that they've had with the DC Cinematic Universe, and we'll give our take on it, but that's for next week. Let's move on to the next topic, which is let's talk about bad movies that we love. We know they're bad, but we love them just the same. And I know this is kind of, I meant to put this in the description, but I forgot. But if you can pick 3 movies that you know are bad, but you love them anyway, and why?
3 bad sci-fi movies.
Yeah, sci-fi or fantasy, because, sometimes people lump them together.
Yeah. Let's see. Let me think of at least 3 of them. It right now I could think of all I could think of right I could think of one is one of the bad Godzilla sequels, at least the ones that I know were bad by their standards, but like the original King Kong versus Godzilla.
That's the first one I thought of when you said that. I was like, oh man, don't say that one. Yeah, I can understand. Yeah, that is kind of fun. Kind of.
Yeah.
Oh, it's fun. It's not a good movie, but it is fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't want to see two of the most iconic monsters duke it out?
You know, when I was a kid and I saw that movie, I loved it. But then, like, when I got older and I became like more of a Gojira file, I was like, this makes no damn sense whatsoever.
Nope.
Like, there's no way King Kong should be able to beat Godzilla.
Nope. It was all due to Deus Ex Machina.
Basically, yeah. Yeah. Or maybe they just wanted to, you know, they didn't want it to be that bad. I got it. I'm just saying I was like, come on, man, don't do that, bro. Don't do that. But yeah, what's another one?
Let's see. Another one that many may consider bad, but I enjoy was Revenge of the Sith, since people still hate the prequels.
I don't think that's a bad movie. I think that's literally Revenge of the Sith is like the best one in the prequel trilogy, in my opinion. Because basically, I mean, your patience is rewarded, right? We see this whiny little shit turn into the badass we knew he could be. Not in a good way, but like, I mean, you know, like I'll be honest. I was one of those people who used to hate the prequel trilogy when I was a kid and I saw it. Well, I wasn't a kid. I was a young person when I saw it. But now I'm like, the prequel trilogy was actually one of the smart things that Lucas did, was because it's like it told a story that needed to be told. How did the universe get to the? How did that universe get to the position that it was in, you know, the original trilogy? A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. What happened to cause this fucked up situation? And the prequel trilogy tells you.
Yeah, before the prequel trilogy, it was explained vaguely through comics.
Yeah, and nothing was really like, everything was extended universe, which meant, you know, it like George Lucas doesn't really say anything, but the shit isn't really canon, which is how I treat a lot of the stuff they're doing now. They're like, well, actually, kyber crystals. Like, fuck you. The color of the crystal's color shouldn't have anything to do with whether or not someone's light side or dark side or gray. It just, you know. But whatever.
Yeah. So now for my third pick, let's see. Third pick. Probably Alien versus Predator.
AVP? Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think that's a bad movie. I think the only downside of that film was that it was rated PG-13 instead of R. Because if it had been rated R, it probably could have been as raw as an AVP movie should be.
The sequel got an R rating, yet it's somehow worse than the original.
Yeah, the reason the sequel was worse, in my opinion, was because basically the directors were fanboying about Alien, and they just like they missed the entire point of a Alien versus. They were fanboying about the Yautjas, and they kind of missed it. I think that had AVP been rated R, it could have been a lot gorier and bloodier, because I mean, you know, these films, like, you're dealing with two of the most deadly organisms that we know of in this universe. before Ridley Scott fucked it all up with engineers and all that weird shit. Like Yautja and Xenomorphs, two very deadly creatures, right? Then you throw in some humans who are like, yeah, I got a gun. Really? Really? I'm like, you think your gun's gonna stop a dude who can turn invisible and shoot a net that's got like these fiber cables that can like tighten and slice into bone and flesh? and a discus thing that can like go through shit. I mean, damn.
At least we can. At least it's not going to be. At least it's not canon to either series.
Yeah. I guess, man. I don't know, man. I kind of, after I saw Prometheus, I was just like, you know what? I'm done. I wiped my hands of Ridley Scott. I'm like, you know what, dude? I'm done. I can't deal with it anymore. But yeah, your three choices are good. I was about to say King K. Rool versus Donkey Kong, but it was actually King Kong versus.
And also a bonus, Sharknado.
Now, see, I was with you until you said Sharknado.
It was a bonus.
Okay, so, all right. Okay, fair enough. It's your list. I guess I'll go with my list. These are movies from the 80s. So because that was, to me, that was the golden time of practical special effects that weren't great, but they were good enough. But the films may have not been that good. So number one is Basket Case. It's an entire series, but the first two films are really great because it's about this guy who is he was born with a conjoined twin, but his conjoined twin was completely was deformed and murderous. So when they separated them, like he keeps them in a basket.
I've heard of this movie.
Yeah, it's pretty rough, and the special effects are kind of shitty, but for some reason it's a fun film. And the second film's even better because like it has a deformed head. In this one, the main character and his brother are taken in by these house of freaks, like freak weirdo people, and literally like he meets a woman who has a deformed sister, like he has a deformed brother, and it's weird. It is a weird film, but it's fun to watch. So yeah. Number two is Ice Pirates. I've mentioned this before. Ice Pirates is one of those films that came out after Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. After Empire Strikes Back, where everyone was trying to make a Star Wars like film, and Ice Pirates is very Star Wars-esque, but it's also really humorous, and it knows that it's a parody, and it totally enjoys the fact that it's a parody, and like everyone's in on the joke, which makes it hilarious. So yeah, great film. And it stars a young Angelica Houston and Ron Perlman. They're not the main characters, but they're in it. And number three is a film from George Lucas that everyone says they hate, but I personally love.
Howard the Duck.
Yeah. I love Howard the Duck. I every few years or so I go back and watch that film, and I'm like, I enjoy it. I like it. I mean, is it a good movie? No, but my God, I love that suit. It's so badass.
Please tell me you also have the Blu-ray.
I do not have the Blu-ray. I have the DVD, but the DVD has all these extras like behind the scenes and George Lucas. Well, I was trying to, with that weird voice George Lucas has. I personally like I said, I like Howard the Duck. I know some people don't, but I do. I know some people are going to be like, how dare you, sir? Look, I didn't say it was perfect. I just said I like it. And since you got a bonus, I'll do a bonus. My bonus is pretty damn simple. this is a film that everyone knows about, and everyone is like, man, this movie has really good special effects. But man, this movie is a slog to get through, but the special effects get you through it. Dragon Slayer with Peter McNichol.
The name sounds familiar.
Yeah, Dragon Slayer.
When did that came out?
1980 something. Here, let me look it up because I used to have this information, but then something here. Let me check. Look, Dragon Slayer. The movie. Damn, I cannot find. Oh, there it is. Dragon Slayer, 1981.
That old. That's a really old '80s movie.
Yeah, it came out. It was a co-production between Paramount Pictures and Walt Disney Productions. And it's basically here's the general gist of Dragon Slayer. It's set in a fictional like 6th century Middle Ages type world where magic still exists, and there's this old wizard who's called in to help kill this dragon. But the wizard's like, man, I'm not going to be able to make that journey from where I am all the way to your kingdom, so I'm going to send my apprentice. And they're like, well, we came here to see you. So the wizard curses. There's 2 groups to see the wizard. He curses the prince of the group, who turns into a woman, and like they don't like that, so they kill the wizard. No, the wizard's like, yeah, I'm gonna suicide myself, which he does. He blows himself up, and they take his apprentice. His apprentice is like, well, shit, I gotta go kill this dragon. Of course, the apprentice is not very good at like he's literally the B team. You know? Like if the wizard's the A team, the apprentice is the B team. and he's always like, none of his spells work. He's always backfiring. Like, you know, he's not ready for prime time. So they go on this journey and they see the dragon, and the king of this kingdom's like, I'm gonna sacrifice the princess, and all, like they sacrifice all these virgins, and then finally they've run out of virgins, so they're gonna sacrifice the princess, who they know is a virgin, to this dragon. And it turns out that the reason the dragon is going around getting all these virgins is not for the reason you think. See, this dragon, it turns out dragons in this universe were created by magic, by like wizards in an age past when magic was much more potent. And this dragon is really old, and it's breeding. It's laid a whole bunch of eggs. Its eggs have hatched, and it's using these virgins. It's killing them and then feeding them to its young. And there's a scene in the movie where the apprentice sneaks into the dragon's lair and kills all of its young. The dragon does not take too kindly to that and rampages and starts fucking shit up. Like literally, the film is not very good, but the special effects are really, really good. Like, really good special effects, and it's dark.
By 1980 standards.
No, like here's the thing: really good special effects, even from the 80s standards. Because, and this is just my own opinion, but to me, practical special effects, even if they're kind of shitty, are better than a lot of CGI. Because you at least know that there's something there. Like, people put time, effort, and energy into making whatever that thing is. Like, for example, like to me, the 1989 Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, those costumes have stood the test of time to me. Like, I live in the DC metropolitan area. I go to the Smithsonian Museum of American History. You can go and see Kermit the Muppets, Sesame Street, Julia Child's Kitchen, and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle suits from that movie. And those suits still look really fucking good. Whereas, you know, I saw recently that Out of the Shadows movie. I did not go see that in the movie theater. It came out on cable, and I watched it. And I'm like, this is just ugly. I know it's a lot of CGI, but it just looks bad.
They try to make it look less ugly from the first movie.
It didn't help because they. You want to know what the problem was? Here's the problem. In my opinion,
they were trying to be as grounded as possible, like every other comic book movie.
Oh no! Here's the problem, right? When they did those suits for the '89 movie, they basically had to make it make sense. You know what I mean? In a physical world, because they couldn't use CGI to cover up the fact that this looks ridiculous. You know, so basically the turtles were kind of short because the stuntmen who did this were Asian stuntmen from like Hong Kong kung fu films, so they had the athleticism to really pull off the stunts. So it's like it kind of made sense for that universe that these would be short people. You know, it kind of made sense the way they were built, that they would to be very athletic and move around.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. It's because the turtles are way too big, because they're supposed to be called heroes in half shells, not heroes in the full shells.
Well, I mean, and they're supposed to be ninjas and stealthy, and I'm like, these big motherfuckers, no goddamn way. No. Plus, and I'm going to say this right now, the Splinter costume from '89 still holds up. I mean,
yeah.
I'm sorry, that costume is still really good. Like let me put it this way. There's a scene in the first movie, which I saw in the movie theater, the first reboot from Michael Bay and them from Paramount. And I watched it and I was like, this is garbage. Like there's a scene where that Splinter is like mortally injured and he needs the mutagen from their blood in order to be healed, right? And I'm like, this looks like shit. And then I watched the '89 version where Splinter has been tortured and beaten by Shredder, and literally, like, he looks so much more like, you actually, like, even though it's a puppet, you're like, damn, they fucked him up. I feel absolutely nothing with the CG thing. I'm like, what is this shit? Really? I'm supposed to care about this shit? Seriously, bro.
He's less fleshed out compared to the original live action version.
Yeah, it was not. It was. No. I mean, like, here's the thing. Normally, when you do a remake, you're supposed to be better than the original.
Yeah, kind of like with video, like how you do with video games. When you remake an old game, you try to fix some of the problems the original had, as well, plus adding some new content to make it better.
Yeah, it's like Pac-Man Championship Edition. That has so many extra modes and new ways of gameplay. It's like, wow, the base game is here. It's good. The new modes add more depth and complexity to it. This is great. Or, you know, you play, what's another game that had like an update from one.
Let's see. Let's see. I could mention the Pokemon remakes, but I wouldn't count those because they still failed to fix the major problems I had with the original game, such as the type diversity and from their Dex rosters.
Well, they really couldn't add a lot of new types they couldn't add a new types to the remakes from, you know, Red and Green. Now, if you're talking about the remakes for
I'm talking about like adding more ghost types and dragon types, so that way two of the Elite Four members could have more Pokemon that's associated with their types.
Well, they kind of did in Leaf Green and Fire Red, but it was kind of, I agree with you. Like, you didn't get basically by the time you got access to new, to more dragon types, more ghost types, it was after you beat the Elite Four and beat Gary, it was like, well, shit, I could have used this. You know, I could have used this like 20 hours ago.
That's the problem I had with the remakes, the Pokemon remakes.
Yeah. I mean, really, we can do this in tomorrow's podcast about video games, but I was going to use movie examples. Like John Carpenter did a remake of The Thing.
Yeah.
And that is it's different than the one that came out in the 50s, right?
Right.
You know, David Cronenberg did a remake of The Fly. And while the general beats a scientist goes too far with his experimentation and accidentally finds himself in a sticky situation, to put it mildly, it's so much better than the original The Fly. Even though broadly they're the same movie, it's so much better than the original. I don't understand why people make movies and literally, like, now people are remaking shit and it's like what you remade is worse than the original. Like I said, Michael Bay's, I know it wasn't directed by Michael Bay, but he was a producer on it. Michael Bay's TMNT movie is worse than the 89 one. I don't know how, and here's the thing. The 89 one was made by a guy who before just made fucking music videos.
And now Michael Bay is going to be producing a Dora the Explorer movie.
No. Michael Bay is not doing that. Thank God. Knock on wood. Because if he did a Dora the Explorer, it would just be a lot of explosions and like like Dora the Explorer in the cartoon is supposed to be like 6 or 7 years old. Like, yeah. I don't know how he's going to give a 6 or 7 year old into hot booty shorts, but Michael Bay will try because it's Michael Bay.
No, leave it to anime.
I don't like Michael Bay. I think he's a hack. I think like there's only like one movie that Michael Bay has done in the past few years that I enjoyed, and that was Pain and Gain. Like everything else that he does, I'm just like, man, fuck this. That 6 Days in Benghazi shit, I was like, man, fuck that movie. But that's neither here nor there. And we can get to the final topic. Speaking of people who
is it EA again?
No. We're still talking about Sci-Fi Power Hour stuff.
Oh, okay.
So basically, speaking of remakes of old movies, what old movie franchise or movie thing that is rife, like actually a remake now would actually be good? Seeing that, Blade Runner kind of failed, it bombed. And of course,
sci-fi franchise that would be worth remaking.
Yeah, what sci-fi or fantasy franchise now is the time to do a remake of, and money could be made. Like people would, and not just money, but money equals people want to see it. So people want to see it. What could you think of that, like, man, this actually could do well nowadays?
Let's see. Currently thinking right now. It can't be the original Jurassic Park. No, because Fallen Kingdom is coming next year. I'm trying to think of what franchises haven't been remade yet. What old franchise haven't been remade yet? Do you have a list? I could.
I mean, you could think about something that.
Well, there is Planet 9 from Outer Space. That'd be
interesting. Yeah, that'd be interesting to see done again. You got another one, or you want me to go?
And then there's probably Starship Troopers.
They are doing another one that's actually being rebooted. My only thing is who's gonna be directing it, because here's the thing: Hollywood is like 0-3 for trying to remake Paul Verhoeven stuff. Like they tried to redo Total Recall, that failed. They tried to redo RoboCop, that failed. They tried to redo what else did Verhoeven do? They tried to reboot Starship Troopers a while back, and that failed. And those are all Paul Verhoeven films. So the Paul Verhoeven game is strong, man.
Seems like those guys have no idea how to work on his style, or and how to replicate his style at least. So yeah, Planet 9 from Outer Space is my choice of a sci-fi movie that could be remade at this time of age, and probably be better than the original, since it is considered to be so bad it's good. And perhaps as a form of comedy, Santa Claus Conquers the Martians, or for any of their Christmas movies.
That'd be interesting. That would be interesting. I'll give you my take. I'll name a few movies. A movie that could a movie franchise that could do with a reboot, and now would be perfect. Gremlins, not Gremlins, Critters. Critters would be perfect for a reboot.
Is that sci-fi as well?
Yes, Critters? It's about these dangerous organisms called krites, which basically eat everything: people, food, energy, trash. And basically, the more they eat, the bigger they get. The bigger they get, the smarter they get, and they're considered highly dangerous criminals. And the first movie has them being led on a ship to be basically disposed of, but they managed to formulate an escape plan and kill the guy who's flying the ship, and it crashes. And then they basically get out on Earth. It crashes on Earth in this small town, and then they begin eating people. And it is a rough film. I mean, it's got some horrific deaths. I mean, people getting eaten by these little creatures. But the cool thing is that these bounty hunters get dispatched to take out the krites. And they're these big head white aliens with no face. But the thing is that they can look at a picture of someone, and then they can change the way their face looks so they look like that person. And that's how they go around disguised in order to, blend in with the local populace. So basically, like, I think, and they made like 3 or 4 movies with Critters. The first 2 are good. The third one sucks. The fourth one is okay. But I think they could bring it back with better special effects, more practical special effects nowadays. They could totally bring it back. They tried to bring back.
And your other choice?
My other choice is they're already doing reboots of everything. I would like to see another Fly movie.
Oh, they've been trying to work on another Fly movie for almost a decade now.
Yeah. But the thing is like, if they're gonna do it, I don't want to see a lot of CGI. I want practical special effects. I want practical gore. I want to see a fly spit their digestive juices. The giant mutant Brundle fly spit their juices on someone's face and see their face melt away. I want to see gore, guts. I want to see people's arms get ripped off. Like, this has got to be a horror movie. I want to see fucked up shit happen to people. Get that guy who did the Human Centipede.
I'm gonna need a barf bag for this.
Yeah, that's the thing about the Fly. The Fly, especially the first Fly, that is a body, like, it's body horror. It's about a man breaking down and turning into something else. Now the second film is a little bit more. It's got some fucked up shit too in it, like people getting crushed by elevator, and a man's face getting melted when he gets that like Brundlefly digestive juices squirted in his face. His dumb ass tries to use his hands to wipe it off, and his hands melt too. It's It's horrific. But look, I want a renaissance of 80s horrific, gory deaths.
There is the Void, which is like the 80s horror films that you've been describing.
The Void. That's the film with the weird pyramid and the weird
Yeah.
doctor. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, that is kind of a throwback, and it has a lot of practical special effects. So I give it up to that. And I'm gonna add another remake I'd like to see. I'd like to see a remake of. I mean, it's been a while. I know they recently did a remake of it, but I want to see it brought back to its roots. I want to see a proper reboot of Friday the 13th with practical special effects, blood squibs.
Yeah,
Just,
they were planning to reboot it, but because Rings flopped, they canceled it.
That's the thing. Like, I don't think you need to spend a lot of money to make a Friday the 13th film, because basically, at its core,
yeah, every horror movies have been low budget.
Yeah. Don't spend more than $30 million. And just have look. Even if it's, you can keep it simple. Okay, some kids go to Camp Crystal Lake. No. That's too cliche. Okay, this is a good one. Okay, a big money out of town land developer says, I'm going to buy Crystal Lake and turn it into a resort, right? And the guy goes and he actually does it. He accomplishes turning Crystal Lake into a resort, all right?
All right.
And then he opens it to the public. He opens it to the public, and in order to commemorate it, he has this big, grand opening thing with only, special guests and stuff like that. And then, I mean, obviously, these are rich assholes. They're doing all types of bad stuff, smoking weed, getting high, having sex. And, well, we all know what that means in a Jason film. Yeah, I want to see Jason just murdering people left and right. I want to see, and I mean, like, really, don't be all like, no, we don't want to show that. I want to see Jason folding people in half backwards. I want to see him bashing people's heads in with rocks. I want to see people getting like stabbed getting stabbed in the stomach and having their entrails pulled out. Yeah, I mean, look, listen, this is Friday the 13th. Jason Voorhees kills people horrifically. Let's stick with that thing. Notice I've picked everything that just has practical special effects and a lot of gore, and keep it cheap. Okay, don't spend more than $30 million. Keep some of the old cues, like the keep that. Keep the theme music. As a matter of fact, you could open it up just for people who are Friday the 13th fans. You can use the Friday the 13th disco from Friday the 13th Part 3.
I remember one Friday the 13th fan who has his idea for a Friday the 13th remake, where it involves his mother controlling him through the power of God to kill anyone who committed a sin, such as smoking weed and having sex. But then he goes out of control, that she had no choice but to kill him, only to end up getting killed herself by him. And Jason becomes a rampaging monster until he was finally stopped by the survivor.
Yeah, and at the end of this film, I'm not gonna have anyone, like, no one's gonna survive. Everyone's gonna no. We'll have like 2 people survive, but Camp Crystal Lake is gonna get burnt to the ground. Everyone's gonna die horrifically, except for these 2 people.
Basically, this guy just wants this Friday the 13th remake to be like Oscar worthy with a deep story.
No, that ain't gonna happen. Because I mean, look, people watch Friday the 13th films to have, people get murdered. That's why people watch Friday the 13th films. And at the end of the film, here's the ending of the film. Okay, the 2 titular, decent people, they get in the car and they drive off. And the guy who set all this up, it turns out that he was doing some dirty stuff on the down low, setting people up, doing shady stuff, shady land deals. And, people warned him, don't buy Crystal Lake, stay away from Crystal Lake. And he's left alone with Jason. And Jason just, you get like a 2-minute scene of Jason just fucking this dude up bad. And that's the end of the film. These two people drive off. This dude's all jacked up. And then, at the end of it fades to black and it says the next day, Crystal Lake, the buildings are burnt to the ground. There's just the frame standing there, partially standing there. And there's all these like horrifically murdered people. And Jason's disappeared. No one knows where he is. And that's the end. Right? That's the end of the that's the end of the movie. It says the end, and then it fades to black and you see the end and then a question mark. And that's the movie. And here's the thing. You get this done on a 30 million or even less budget. You get it to come out on a Friday the 13th, damn it. That's how you make money, folks. Friday the 13th coming out Friday the 13th, opening in 700 theaters all over the U.S. I guarantee that would make money.
Yeah. So I think that sums up just about up for this sci-fi podcast.
Yeah. So anything you want to pimp out before we wrap things up?
No, I'm saving those for the OGL podcast.
All right, then I'll pimp some stuff out. Stay tuned. This Sunday at 7 p.m. to 9 o'clock p.m. we'll be doing the BS Busters, where, let's just keep it real. EA just can't stop sticking their own foot in their mouth and biting down.
Yeah, apparently their decision they also ticked off yet another group. It's not who you think, but it's not who you think it is.
They just won't stop. Like EA, like that song from Rockefeller Records, can't stop, won't stop. They can't stop. They won't stop. They just can't. They can't do it. they can't stop. They can't stop themselves. They're like addicted to fucking over consumers. So we'll be talking about that tomorrow. We'll also be talking about how to bring back franchises that people think have kind of run out of air, run out of steam, if you will, run out of gas, and are running on vapors. How to revitalize those franchises to appeal to both old school and new school gamers, bringing them back into the fold.
Spoiler alert! I'll have to mention Sonic for this one.
Yeah, I use an example, Star Fox, but Sonic, a lot of people said that about Sonic the Hedgehog. I don't know how to bring back Sonic the Hedgehog. My only thing would be just let Nintendo make the Sonic the Hedgehog game.
Give him his own Mario 64 game.
Yeah, just let Nintendo make Sonic games from now on. Just contract them out to make. Okay, that's a little too far, but you get what I'm saying. And alongside anything else anyone else wants to bring up tomorrow's podcast. And before the year's out, I'll try and have a big, grand end-of-year question-a-thon before I go on my Christmas vacation. So that'll either be next week's BS Busters or the week after. So it's either going to be the 10th or the 17th. Probably the 17th, because that's before I go on my Christmas vacation, and I'm not doing jack squat during Christmas vacation. Like, literally nothing.
And 2 weeks from now, I'll also be out of town. I'll be going to Disneyland with my family.
I will. That's weird. I'm going on a cruise, a Disneyland cruise. No, I'm joking. It's not a Disneyland cruise, but that's neither here nor there. So peace out. Enjoy season's greetings. Happy holidays, and don't drink too much spiked eggnog. Good night.
Good night.